What's up, everyone? My name is Ryan Garcia. This is Fireside Yankees. I am fashionably late. I apologize. We were recording something that will drop tomorrow, so don't worry. It is for you guys. We've got fun stuff for you guys. Before we get into everything, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. We're going to be answering a ton of questions today. As you guys are aware, the winter meetings have concluded, and the Yankees signed nobody. Cody Bellinger still out there. Kyle Tucker's still out there. Tatsuya Mai still out there. Unless you really wanted Lane Thomas, which, I could have taken Lane Thomas on a cheap deal. But we've got a good bit to talk about here on the Fireside Yankees YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Again, let's just jump straight into questions. Is that what we'd like to do? Do you guys just want to get into questions? Let's have a Let's Go Yankees in the chat. And again, do we want to just jump to questions, right? Is that what we want to do? That's what I think the chat wants. Let's just get straight into it. I like you, man, but you're crazy. Yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. That is a good point. There's something wrong with me. That's okay. I honestly, I don't know if I could do that. Like, Lane Thomas is coming off a turbo dog shit year. So I don't know about all that. But turbo dog shit year. Let's get into the questions. Let me just tweet out that we're live because your boy's fashionably late. And I wouldn't even say fashionably. I kind of look like shit. Let's get into the questions. What's up with Jazz? So we're going to talk some Jazz Chisholm. I don't think Jazz Chisholm gets traded. I just don't. I think it's got this wire attached to my arm. I can't move. That's all right. All right. That's okay. Anywho, so when it comes to Jazz Chisholm, I'm not under the impression that the New York Yankees are just dying to trade him. I believe the Yankees would trade Jazz Chisholm if it was opportunistic, if it made sense for the Yankees, if it made sense for the roster. That's not because I think the Yankees are like dying to extend him. All the reports have indicated they're not going to extend him before the season starts. But the reason I believe that they are not going to move him is because I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Yankees don't re-sign him. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I do believe, though, that if the Yankees, it's more likely he leaves than not, just kind of like off the top of my head. But again, I do believe the New York Yankees are going to hold on to Jazz Chisholm unless they get blown away on an offer. If they get some crazy high trade package from, I don't know, the Pirates who need a second baseman, then yeah, sure. I think the Yankees would open their door to that. But they would do that for a lot of players on this roster. I'm sure teams went, hey, are you going to trade David Bednar? Hey, are you going to trade Camilo Doval? Hey, are you going to trade Fernando Cruz? Like, who's available? Would you trade Trent Grisham? Despite what people think. They're going to draw interest and they're going to listen on virtually anybody. I think that one of the guys they obviously won't listen on is Judge. So outside of like him, basically, sure they listen to everybody. Ace P. What's up, Brian? Hope all is well. I'm starting to believe Cashman's trying to lowball for these free agents. If you're not, like, there's no reason to bid against yourself. There's none. Like, none of the guys that we've talked about have signed. So, yeah. Cashman, the mastermind, nothing's happened. I do like your profile picture, though. So much complaining that one guy for the Yankees are after is off the board. Let's critique when the roster is set. Yeah, I have got the same mentality. Yo, what's up, Brian? Says Colton Dawson. Any news on Gore, Peralta, Imai? What's the pivot from Bellinger? Bellinger hasn't signed, so I don't know what their pivot would be, but I'd imagine it'd be like getting a platoon outfield situation. And then in regards to the pitching market, Gore is someone who I think the Yankees would have to bring in. I think the Yankees would have to trade one of their young outfielders, and specifically that might be Jason Dominguez. Not exactly sure if the Yankees would have to. Sign Bellinger first. Like, my understanding is, like, I can't say guaranteed because anything could happen, anything could open up. But I think the Yankees would be waiting to sign Bellinger before they do anything with Jason. I don't think the Yankees would trade Jason without an understanding that Bellinger's back. Super chat from Jim Sherlock. I believe the Yankees will do something to you. Yes, I think they'll add to their outfield. I think they'll add to their pitching staff. Time will tell if that happens during the next few weeks or not. Or maybe it's not the guy we want. Yankees did nothing. Yeah, they did nothing in the winter meetings. Patience is a virtue. I would agree. Again, I love that profile picture, man. I know you were here last night. I love that profile picture. Brian Cashman said Jazz Chisholm is a key part of the Yankees, praising his athleticism, defense, and all-star talent, while noting they'll stay open-minded, but value the players they've acquired. Yeah, again, it's a matter of hey, if you have an offer that is clearly and obviously something the Yankees should take, then they'll listen. If not, then you can hang up. But of course, why not have him? Like, why not just listen and see what teams will do? That's always what I say when it comes to trade markets. Why not at least look and see? How much did he offer Rosario? $1 million, no one to sign. It's the typical cash move. We don't know how much they've offered Rosario. So, yeah. Corey Seager, watch. I would love Corey Seager. Your dreams have finally come true. CBS reports The Athletic says Cubs have received inquiries on Horner. Also saw a couple other sources indicated Yankees inquired about Green. I don't believe they'll acquire either player. In regard to Horner, it was kind of killed, the idea that they would move him. Maybe if they signed an infielder, that dream can come back up. But for now, I don't think he's going to get moved. Ryan, looks like Cody Bellinger may not want to be back with the Yankees. I don't know. It just looks like he's going to stall and wait until they get the number they want. I don't know if they're going to get the number they want, though. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Yankees, man. What's good? What's good, Leo? Hope you're doing well. Most disappointing 4 days in my life. I would say the most boring, not the most disappointing. Soto, I will always point to Soto leaving the Yankees and say that was far more disappointing for the winter meetings. I was very sad that day. What do you think Seager trade will take? Well, they said they want to be blown away. So Schlittler and Rice would have to start that package, and then you get prospects. We just won't know any until everything unfolds. Good point. Let's go Yanks. Let's go Yanks, Adam. What's the most you'd offer for Seager? Okay. Good question. I think I'd give up George Bar Jr. for Seager. I know he's your number one prospect, but if you're bringing in a shortstop, right, like, it makes sense. I don't think they need outfielders, right? Langford, Nimmo, Carter, DH maybe, but like those three guys, except for Nimmo, essentially, are like all DH, not really DH needs, and even Nimmo is not like a pure DH at this point. He's just an average defensive outfielder. Maybe he will have to DH down the line. Maybe it's like, okay, maybe it's like George Bar Jr., Jason Dominguez, and Will Warren, and like Carlos LaGrange, something of that capacity. Feels like a lot, right? Is it? I don't really know. That's an interesting. I don't know if that's even a lot. I think you could have talked me into Lane Thomas. Oh, we talked about this. Does Joel Sherman comment on how the Yankees can only add one big payroll guy concerns you? Is it just Bellinger and trade for a starting pitcher? No, he might. It could concern me if that's true. He also did say we're going to stay under $300 million. So if we sign Bellinger, kind of hard to say under $300 million. Nobody else is too tightly tied to Bellinger, and only Jace for Tucker. So is there really any reason to worry, lol? Not yet. Not yet. Sorry, the camera keeps shaking. I keep shuffling around. Seager, too old, too expensive, too injured. You can make the argument. Oh, thank you for reposting the stream. We better be aggressive. I can't stand sitting back and waiting. We can't let players on the board be on other teams, which really hasn't happened. Yeah, look, if players start leaving the board and going to teams that are not Los Janks, that'll suck a lot. Like, that'd be turbo, for a lack of better terms. Be really upset. Like, upset to a point that I haven't been in during the offseason at the Yankees, at least just yet. I'm trying to be reasonable. I think the Yankees are going to sign Cosmo Okamoto and Tatsuya Imai. I liked it. Depends on if they get an outfielder. I want an outfielder probably. What would acquiring Lidiko Horner be realistic, or can he even fit this team? Realistic, probably not. Fit, yeah, he can play shortstop, can play second, can play third. I'd prefer him at shortstop. Over, under, the Yankees make a move before next Monday. I'd say like maybe they sign like a cheap MLB reliever. It feels like the market's just going to be clogged. We'll talk about Bellinger and kind of provide some updates. I guess we can do that now. Oh, we have a super chat. Let's do that first. There's value in not signing Bellinger or Tucker, is that the Martian or Jones can play full-time develop. That's why I prefer Tucker. Yeah, I think there's like upside in the other guys, but I would prefer they sign an outfielder, but you make a good point. Thank you, Slime Lewis Guitar, for the comment. Yeah, he's going to get interest. He is getting trade interest. That's a good point. I think I'm back in on the KT30 train. I think it'll happen. I would love it. I would love it, Joe. I really would. Let's talk about Bellinger real quick. Cody Bellinger. Let's talk about what's going on here, because I think we can all agree there is a weird, like, what is going on with the Yankees and Cody Bellinger. Obviously, we're going to pull up his free agent or his player profile here on Fangraphs. Let's pull this up here. Look, he had a good year. You know, he's a good player. But I want to pull up also the Athletic article talking about kind of like Scott Boras and the idea that hey, the Yankees like might end up having to wait until Kyle Tucker. So let's kind of read the juicy part on this. They must be active sooner rather than later. A league source was briefed on talks with Bellinger's agent, Scott Boras, said it seemed likely Boras could wait for Kyle Tucker to sign before completing a deal for Bellinger, who also seems to have plenty of suitors. The Yankees have problems that signing Bellinger alone wouldn't solve, and they have the ability to get those things, even if a Bellinger deal would almost definitely be the biggest offseason expenditure. Cashman knows, even if he's downplaying the club's issues. I want to kind of click this one. Scott Boras says 8 teams are interested in the Yankees. This was the 9th. Mentioned that Cashman said he wanted to love him at the back. Creatively told reporters that nearly 1/3 of MLB teams are interested in Bellinger. See how many teams are able to identify. To recap, teams interested in Bellinger, according to Boras, are the Yankees, Phillies, Reds, Mets, Dodgers, Giants, Blue Jays, and Angels. Guys, got to sit here and tell you off rip, no shot on planet Earth he's a Red. Do you think the Giants are really going to be that in? Angels, I'm going to just rule them out. The Phillies have seemed to kind of take themselves out with Schwarber. Mets have kind of, like, you could swipe out these 3 teams. Mets aren't seeming to be very aggressive on the free agent, top of the free agent market. We talked about that yesterday. Dodgers are interesting because there was public reporting that they would not be that in on Diaz. And then he that ended up not really working out for the Yankees or for the Mets. They ended up losing Diaz despite the some overwhelming belief that they would be able to just retain him. So yeah, it didn't really work out for them. So I mean, when it comes to Bellinger, like, I just sort of think they're not going to have that much competition. I don't think they're going to have that much competition. I don't. That's kind of my thing here. But yeah. Yeah, they aren't, but like, do we really think the Los Angeles Angels are gonna lure in? Like, are we really that sure that they're gonna lure him in? Like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm kind of being that guy about the Angels. So, why are we content with Austin Wells? Let's look at this together, fellas. Let's look at this together. Why are we content with Austin Wells? That's why we're content with Austin Wells. That's why we're content with Austin Wells. I think the reason that this is a little bit different is because Anthony Rendon was a top 10 player on the planet when he signed, and Garrett Cole was a top 2 pitcher on the planet when he signed. Cody Bellinger is neither of those things. So, yeah. Now, in regard to Cody Bellinger and his market, my understanding is that the Dodgers are not willing to go past 3 years for him right now. That the 4 to 5 year, maybe 4 years is a number they might be. Like, if they get a chance to bid again, maybe they'll go to the 4th year. But Yankees seem to be around the 5-year mark. I don't believe the Yankees are going to have to deal. Like, I don't think the Yankees are facing a situation where they're going to be facing a ton of bidders who are willing to go to that 5-year, 6-year window. Whereas when it comes to Tucker, you know, even then, like, the Dodgers reportedly not willing to go to 6 or 7 years. My understanding is that is not going to change when it comes to Bellinger. Now, again, when we talk about other teams, Mets, not really interested in going that far, being aggressors, seem more like guys. How do I put this? The Mets seem more like players a team who will be like sharks in the water while you're on the land. And if you go into the water, yeah, you might get bit. As long as the Yankees don't go into the water, the shark-infested waters, then they'll be fine. For the Dodgers, similar kind of outlook from public reporting and kind of my understanding of the situation as well. Phillies felt like if they didn't get Schwarber, Bellinger would become a bigger like a pivot point for them. But they signed Schwarber for the Reds and Pirates, who were involved with Schwarber. Bellinger not considered to be a big player for them, but we'll see. Time will tell, though. Time will tell. I don't think I don't know. The Yankees seem firm on that 5-year mark, and for Boris, they want 7 years. So yeah. No, Francisco Lindor's not getting traded. I don't think that's happening. Now, if he were to get traded, I want him, but I don't think he's getting traded. Any news on Corey Seager? The news are from Jeff Passan, and we'll read this Jeff Passan article together. Jeff Passan alongside other reporters such as Jesse Rogers, I believe, and I think Kylie McDaniel was part of that as well. Let's where is this? I'm looking for trying to look for this. Where's the news? Home. I'm trying to look for. There we go. The Texas Rangers are in listening mode on star shortstop Corey Seager, which doesn't mean the 2-time World Series MVP is by any means going to be moved, but it reflects on the Rangers' willingness to overhaul the roster beyond their trade of Marcus Semien. To be abundantly clear, the return would need to overwhelm. Oh, no, sorry. To be abundantly clear, Texas isn't looking to shed the remaining $186 million on his contract. The return would need to overwhelm the Rangers. That is a very key part of this. I recorded an episode this morning with Alex, and we got a lot of shit because of a mock trade. I was like, hey, if my task as the Yankee executive was to, by all means, go get Corey Seager, I said, all right, if you want to guarantee the Rangers give you Corey Seager, Lombard, LaGrange, Rice, Schlittler. I wouldn't do that deal. I think that's really dumb for the Yankees, but that's the kind of, when you tell me overwhelm, that's what I think of when I think overwhelmed. And even this, like, does that get Corey Seager? I don't know. I don't know if this gets Corey Seager. I don't. Because the fact that they don't have to trade him is a big variable here. It has to be more attractive than what they currently have. So that's why I don't believe this would be a guarantee to get it done. So, yeah, but with Corey Seager, again, they're facing a payroll crunch. Seager's deal is quite appealing. He's only 31. He plays an excellent shortstop, and all of the position players are ostensibly, I can't pronounce that word, available via trade or free agency. He's the best. I think he's the best player available if he were to be available in the trade front. But again, like, you have to overwhelm them. And I do not believe a package that doesn't have Schlittler and Rice overwhelms them. How would you feel about a Norland Gorman as a bench bat that can platoon in the infield? He's left-handed, so not sure that works. That's a fair point. I don't think it's a bad offer. There's no way to guarantee that you're going to get him on that offer. I think it's a competitive one, though. So yeah, we'll see. Are we doing anything anytime soon? I don't know. That's a good point too. If we didn't want Corey Seager, now granted, he did sign a $325 million contract, and it's in Texas. You'd have to pay him, probably like $350 million in order for you to have pulled him. But yeah, why didn't you at least make it like a strong offer? Why weren't you at least runner-ups here? Trying to get this stupid thing. Why aren't they runner-ups here? That's a good point. Yeah. They're not going to get Tyler Soderstrom. This is one of the best players on the Athletics. So, yeah. Imagine if the Dodgers bring Seager back, sign Tucker, and trade for Skubal. They won't do that. But, obviously I'd be irate. I mean, that would be awful. Awful. Let's see. John Heyman dropped an article, I think, but I think it's just that they just like Bellinger, and the Mets apparently like Bellinger, but okay. What about Freddie Peralta? Nothing of note with Peralta outside of the article from yesterday from Will Salmon. Interest in Sung-Moon Song posted from Korea. I don't know if the Yankees are in on that. I haven't heard anything to suggest they are, but let's look at his numbers together, fellas. Everyone all together now. Not strong projections. KBO hitters struggle to translate over from the KBO to MLB. Had 2 good years. One of them a great year, but left-handed, not really sure that makes a lot of sense for the Yankees and their infield. Let's see. If the Dodgers get schooled, I think you should just cancel the season. No season is more over than the NBA season because of OKC. How many players are as valuable as Rice in terms of talent and control? I'm not sure. I think baseball trade values has him as the Yankees' most valuable player in a trade. So take that for what you will. Take that for what you will. Yeah. So how did Jung-Hoo Lee perform? 107 WRC plus this past year. Pretty much performed up to his expected numbers. In Korea, he had never posted a WRC plus that low. So that is kind of an indication of how hard it is to translate. Granted, first year, 37 games, can't really count that. He's not getting traded. It's nice to see the Yankees finally targeting guys with dominant fastball velocity. For the last several years, they've been among the slowest in average fastball velo, it seems. And you're not wrong. Let's kind of look at this. Let's look at this together, boys and girls, and everyone else, like everyone in general. Let's look at this, fellas. Let's have fastball sinker velocity. Share this tab. Team. We're going to go sort by teams, sort by average pitch velocity, and we're going to see what pops up for Lowe's Jenks. Yeah, third slowest four-seam fastball velocity. Or fastball and sinker velocity, which is kind of funny because the Blue Jays are also on here near the bottom, and like none of the teams in the top 3, like the Dodgers are here. You know, we'll kind of see. None of the teams in the top 3 like had. Sorry, that's a lie. I don't know what I was going to say about the top 3, but yeah, Yankees need to improve on this. Let's look at 2024, 2025. Right. Let's look here. Yeah, Yankees 25th. Right. You want to be throwing a little bit harder. The next 2 offseasons look very dire, disappointing. In terms of player talent, yes, but like even then, like I don't know, like I think Nico Horner could be like an alternative shortstop option. I'd have to wait. Like I kind of want to wait and see there. Again, just be a loser. Just embrace being a loser like I have. Just spend all of your time on Fangraphs. Don't go outside. Those kinds of things. Yeah, it'd be cool at like a cheap price, but his arm is also kind of like keeps exploding. So, you know, I think that's important. What kind of extension would you be comfortable giving to Jazz? 5 years, 100 mil. Yeah, 100 mil. I think it's also because like teams. So this is my understanding. Okay, this is my understanding. In regard to the trade market for contenders. Now, if we talk about the Yankees and we talk about like contenders in general, there are not a lot of teams looking to go for it this year, and a lot of teams looking to go for it are kind of cheap or are not really into this free agent market because who wants to give Cody Bellinger 7 years, $200 million? No one seems to wants to give Kyle Tucker $400 million. Those kinds of things. Teams who have pieces that are being sold to contenders are going to set the bar high because they can set that bar high and just wait until they get the guy they want. It's December 11th. They don't have to make a trade right now. No, it does not behoove the Guardians to, let's say, trade, I don't know, Cade Smith and do it at a discount. It does not behoove. Does it behoove the Cardinals to trade Brendan Donovan? No, not unless they get what they want. Because he's got multiple years of control. Mackenzie Gore, multiple years of control. You can trade these guys at the deadline. You do not have to trade them right now. You can trade them all after the fact. Which is why, again, you can't really sit here and talk about the Yankees and go, hey, they're being stupid in the trade market. How do you know that? How do you know that? You don't know what they're offering. You don't know what they're being offered. You don't know. These guys the Yankees are in on trade-wise have not gone. So, in theory, any of the other teams who are in are also overvaluing their prospects. He can't play shortstop. We got to stop. He cannot play shortstop, guys. He cannot play shortstop. Perdomo is a dog. We're not getting him, though. Yeah, I agree. I don't think teams want to give non-superstar money to I don't think teams want to give these mega near decade-long contracts to non-superstars. I think it's just the Yankees being exploring and being open. Yeah, it takes two to tango. What else we got rolling here? Let's have some more questions coming in about the Yankees and what's going on here. I really hope a trade just breaks or alive. Like, that'd be nice, or a signing for the Yankees or someone. I just something. We had Oviedo break while we were alive, but that's not really the same thing. What about a guy like Ezequiel Tovar? Again, that's another guy. I just don't think the Rockies are going to trade him. I don't think that. And I don't think Tovar is like a meaningful upgrade to the point where like I feel significantly better about my life with him at shortstop. Should we be concerned about the Hector Beauchamp tweet? Hey, if he's right and the Yankees are not really interested in the Japanese market, that would stink. Now, I did talk to somebody else who was at the winter meetings. He's on the show, Jacob. You know him as And That's Baseball, or Jacob, depending on how you know him. But he was kind of telling me like he spoke to a Japanese reporter who did tell him, the Yankees are in on both Imai and Okamoto. So, we'll kind of see. Like, I don't know. From what I've heard, I think they're in on Imai. I know Yankee sources reported they're in on Okamoto. I say it time and time again. I don't have the feeling that they're not going to. I don't have the feeling that the Yankees are not in on Japanese players. But again, I could be wrong. Hector's a good dude. Hector's really good at his job. So, that definitely did stick out to me. So, yeah. What is the bullpen solution looking like? I think the best way to solve your bullpen woes are to go and trade for these high upside pitchers who are not making a ton of money. So, yeah. Is Peralta really going to cost a lot? The Orioles got Burns for nothing a few years ago. Both last year of team control, and Burns was better. It's possible. It doesn't go for a lot, but you got to think too, like the Orioles thought they were getting their starting shortstop. Like, it's very easy for us to sit here and say, oh, Joey Ortiz is nothing of value. And D.L. Hall is nothing of value. Now, D.L. Hall's arm just keeps exploding. But Joey Ortiz, his first year with the Brewers, put up 3.2 wins above replacement. And there was no reason to believe he was going to be the player he was this past year, where he was one of the worst qualified shortstops in baseball, if not the worst qualified shortstop in baseball. I know he was just brutal offensively. The year prior, he was a above average hitter and one of the best defensive infielders in the game. So there was reason to believe, if he were to play shortstop, which he did this past year and did it at a pretty good clip, that this was going to be a good player, cheap cost control, worth Burns. Because then you look at what Corbin Burns did. He was kind of regressing a little bit. Fastball wasn't as sparkling, as brilliant as it was going into the 2024 season. Can't believe it's been a whole year. But if you look at what Burns did the year prior, strikeout to walk rates had started to really, really decline. The strikeout to walk rates well down. Like this was his by far worst season in terms of strikeout to walk rate. ERA kept climbing year after year after year after year. This was the worst year of his career. And then he goes to the Orioles and he kind of figures it out for a year, and then he blows out his elbow a year later with the Diamondbacks. So, I do think that played a role into what looked like an underwhelming return at the time. And, in 1 year it looked good for the Brewers, another year it looked bad for the Brewers, but then like Burns got hurt, so I guess it looked good for. It's not the kind of trade that I think was actually as bad as we think it is. So yeah. What's your favorite pivot off Belly if we don't get him? I would love if the Yankees were to spend that money. Like if Bichette doesn't get a long-term contract, if Bregman doesn't get a long-term contract, and one of those guys set up like a 3-year deal, I'd love it just because you want right-handed hitting. But that's kind of like, what is it? Right? Like that's a little bit, I don't know. I think what I would do is I'd sign, maybe sign Bo Bichette, maybe like on a 5-year deal, right? Like that might be what I do. If you were to trade away Ben Rice in a blockbuster trade, it's Nicholas. Nicholas is like the guy, right? Like that you'd want, but he's not getting traded. You wouldn't want to sign Alonso to that contract, but Alonso would be like one of the better players you can get on that for the position, but you wouldn't want him on that contract. Obviously, no longer on the market. Not really relevant to the conversation. Yandy Diaz is like a good player, but like I wouldn't feel like I'm replacing Ben Rice. I feel like I'm just kind of like lateraling a little bit here. Yeah, that would be weird. Maybe Vinny Pasquantino, but like the Pasquatch, is he going to go? No, I don't know. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. How about all 30 teams get involved in one trade? Doesn't work that way because you've got 30 teams. And so one of them has to be traded. You know, it'd have to be 29. Be 29, right? Be 29. I live for live trade reactions. I watch Micah Parsons reactions weekly. If I was a Packers fan, I'd watch it every single day. I'd watch it every single stinking day. Every single stinking day. I don't agree with this. I feel the Mets are going to buy 2 Japanese or 3 Japanese players to promote tourism to that Cohen Casino. Maybe. Feels like that's too non-baseball motivated for me to buy it, but possible. Let's keep it rolling here. I think Winquest could be a dog, dude. Winquest would be tough. That guy hits 100. Hopefully the average velo is sitting close to the max velo, the 95. He's closer to 195. If that happens, that'd be great. He has a good feel for spins the ball well away from right-handed batters. So yeah. You think a move gets done by the end of the week? Hopefully. Yeah, like the Fernando Cruz of the world. Yeah, shortstop is a weak position. Good point. Hector reported that he learned the Yankees are not involved with a Japanese pitcher. Must mean the Yankees are going to trade for a pitcher. Can also mean the Yankees don't want to deal with Boris. I mean, it could mean a lot of things. It could also be maybe the Yankees are actually in on a Japanese player. There's a lot of things this could mean. So, yeah. Am I wrong for not really wanting him? Fastball's going to lose 1 to 2 inches IVB. I'm hesitant to give him Carlos Rodon money, and the upside isn't that great, to be honest. The upside is pretty good. The fastball is such a low release height. It's actually a plus fastball on paper. So I wouldn't buy too much into the IVB stuff. Lower release height guy, that matters way more. The release, the launch point matters a lot in this. Hope the next GM we hire can be a legitimate top 3, can build a legitimate top 3 farm system in baseball. Yeah, I mean, I just think that that's part of like they have too many pro scouts and not enough. Like they're not full on data with drafting. You get a little bit more there. They just get a little bit closer there. Just need to get a little bit closer. Think he's getting a trade heel. Fair. People expect an elite farm system when we pick late. Yeah, that's a good point. That is also a good point. Trade for Spencer Steer. Issue with Spencer Steele, he hasn't hit lefties that well the last 2 years, but I mean, yeah, why not? Right? Like, why not? He's versatile. Look, it could always be good or bad, but I think it's just they're waiting on Bellinger, right? I think that's kind of where they're at, right? Yeah. Yeah, he's untouchable. That's what I've been saying on here. Yeah, I'd rather have Nico than Bichette because he can play shortstop. Right-handed bat, I know of a... No, stop that. I knew exactly what you meant. Arizer, Gavin Sheets, left-handed doesn't help. Schneider said that Tucker will make a decision a couple of weeks after the winter meetings. Who's Schneider? Yeah, it's depressing. I wish we had him. I want him. We're in the bottom half of the league, I believe, in farm rankings. Yeah, it's a good point. They could go in-house. I think I don't know. I just think that they should just get a little more analytical there. I think they do. I think they do. I think they end up not getting Tucker. I think they end up with Bellinger. Although I prefer Tucker. I've said this a lot. Yeah. Murakami's going to be an Angel or Met. Seems like his market's quiet. I don't think the Mets or a contender in general is going to take the flyer on Murakami to be a full-time first baseman. I would expect him to be more of a like a guy who signs with the Angels, but like even they have a first baseman. I'd expect him to sign with a team that can give him the opportunities without being in contention and not having to pull the plug if he doesn't do well. That's a good point. They do build elite farm systems despite it, but they also picked, like, there was the draft compensation, like the draft tax is way harder on, like, from in 2016 we had an elite farm system. Draft tax is way harder nowadays. I'd like Okamoto. Okamoto would be fun. He'd be fun. Over under 425. I'll take the under for Tucker. 425. I'll take the under. This would be fun. Just do it. This would just be fun. Like, why not? This would just be fun. Yeah, that makes sense. I still think he ends up a Blue Jay, unfortunately, but it makes sense. I like, but smash that like button, guys. Give us some support. We really appreciate it. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not. I don't even think it's lazy. It's just like, man, the Angels suck. They can kind of use anything, right? Hit balls to Montana. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be tons of fun. Anyone from the minor leagues that could stick in the Yankee pen next year? I would have Winquest technically, who's now a prospect technically for the Yankees. I think LaGrange is like that homegrown Betances archetype. So yeah, take it for what you think, but that's what I would believe. What would you do for O'Neill Cruz if he became available? I wouldn't want to blow up the farm system for him. I wouldn't, because I believe that he's got tons of power and upside, but he's left-handed, so doesn't help you against lefties. So yeah, only good players Aaron Judge. It's crazy. That's a crazy take. Is there a chance that they're being quiet about Tucker inches? Maybe they're going to surprise us. Look, I guess it's not 0%, but I would doubt it. I would put doubt on that. Right? That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, but without Ohtani, what are the Dodgers? Right? No, because they can. I think they can decline the opt out, right? Can't they just say no to him on the opt out? They can't. They don't have to let him opt out. Let's look at this together, fellas. I don't think they have to let him opt out. Right? Yeah, team can void opt out by adding $4 million a year from 2030 to 2039. So they can void he does not have, they do not control whether he does not control whether he's going to opt out or not. Yeah. Stearns might let him opt out. No shot. If he's good enough to opt out, they're not gonna they're gonna pick that up. They're for $5 million, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Mets are a good landing spot for Okamoto. I agree. I think that's the kind of a perfect landing spot. That or Boston are really good spots for him. Why would they pay Soto $53 million a year for his age 31 to 41 seasons? Well, if he opts out, clearly he thinks he can do better than that. So that's why they would do it. So to kind of clarify this, if Soto were good enough to opt out, it's kind of like the Carrot Cole thing. If he's good enough to opt out, even if you don't think he is, if he's good enough to opt out and he thinks he can get more money, good chance. Well, the Yankees actually didn't slap that onto him, so technically it's not a good example. But if you're comfortable enough opting out, there's a good chance the team's comfortable enough to give you that money. So yeah. I don't know if they're cooked yet. They kind of gotta let their offseason play out too. I say it with the Yankees, I'll say it with the Mets. If they don't get to 325, and if he doesn't get to 325, there's just no reason not to sign him, right? Yeah, dude, that guy is jacked. He didn't say he was a backup plan. He didn't say any. He just said he called Casey Close about Tucker. Not really the same thing. So yeah. It'll always be one of those weird, what do you mean he opted out and then just said no? No, because that could hurt players' markets. I'm not sure there's a way to fix this. Maybe a trade deadline in the offseason would help. That's kind of where my head's at, maybe. But, I don't know. Maybe push the winter meetings back to, January. That would be a fun idea. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep looking here. Yeah, I don't want Mike Trout. We don't want Mike Trout. Bichette in right. No. Bichette in right field and Donovan at shortstop is a terrible idea. I'm sorry. Defensively, too poor. Right, wait, hold on. Am I reading this wrong? Wells at catcher, Rice at first base. Just second, Donovan. Okay. Donovan, Bichette at shortstop still isn't going to happen for me. Sorry. Not doing that. Sorry. Neto's a good player. I agree. Neto would be a fun player to have if the Yankees get him, but they're not going to get him. And he's not going to get traded. Cole Boers probably believe they would need to eventually, so they reverse the opt out. Yeah, they probably were like, hey, we're not going to do better in the open market, actually. So let's just undo that real quick. RQ. I think they should because I think they're going to get Bellinger back. So I think they should. Xavier Edwards can't play shortstop. Yeah. Yeah, that sucked. That sucked. I hated that. I really did hate that. Great previous live. I appreciate the rant. It shows how passionate you are as a Yankees fan. I'm critical of this team too. I won't accept excuses. Look, I like my job. I like this. I like doing this. I like my job a lot. I love my job. So I don't take it for granted. I try not to take it for granted. Yeah, he can't really play short, so no, I wouldn't put him at shortstop. Yeah, probably. He's coming back from Tommy John, so probably. Well, yeah. -5. Yeah, Jacob Wilson's a good player, though. O'Neal Cruz could be a steal if we traded for him. First off, thank you for the super chat. Secondly, possible, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't know. Like, there's a risk there because he's left-handed. So, yeah, he's left-handed. That's a good point. Hot take. I love the way FA is in MLB. That's free agency. I love how anyone can sign whenever. I remember being up at 2 a.m. with Correa signed with Minnesota. I also remember waking up to the Cole signing. That is a fair point. I just think we're kind of bored. We're all bored. Right? We're all super bored. Hey, man, this is a great Yankees podcast channel. Keep up the great work, man. Appreciate it, dog. Really do. Thank you, Ollie. Belly, Fairbanks, and Alcantara. That'd be a really strong offseason, I think. Maybe you want a little more from the right-handed batting side, but this is a good core for that. Let's see what else we got. Cruz, the 200 strikeout guy. Good point. I'm saying that maybe Cole decides to stay with the current contract because teams and him might have believed that he would have eventually needed Tommy John. That's a good point. Good point. Where do you think Scooble goes? Dodgers and or Mets? I think Volpe has good trade value. We should trade him immediately after the injury. How are you going to get a short? You need a shortstop, though. You need a replacement. Yankees ranked 23rd out of 30 in position shortstop. So you need to get better there. I think internally, maybe they can get better production out of defensively out of their guys. What does Seager trade even look like? Again, like I think you're trading one of, if not both, of Rice and Schiller to get the Rangers, who again it's reported they want to be overwhelmed to do that deal. There have been 15 shortstops in the league that are better than Volpe. I'm not even joking. Almost half are Dominican. That's how bad Volpe is. I think, if you get the 16th, I think you can want the 16th best shortstop, but I would prefer them to like Volpe to be better than that. I think it'd be nice for them to get like a Nico Horner again, but I just don't see it happening. Also, Dominicans are good shortstops. What are you talking about? Need cash to pull off a trade that no one's expecting. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be dope. If my signs with us, I'm buying his jersey that day. That'd be fun. What do you think of a Gore, Keller, Buxton, Rosario offseason? I dig it. How much money to Pirates offer Skeens when MLB implements the salary floor? They should offer him $500 million right now. What's up, my dude? Let's go Yankees. What's up, my man? Hope you're doing well. Go Yankees. Go Yankees. Angels would be dumb to trade Neto. I agree. Yeah, it'd be stupid. Seager isn't worth all that. You can, I think it's fair, but again, if you want to be overwhelmed, then you've got to get more value than the player's worth. Why do you think Cashman's caring about handedness? Aren't splits more important? Wouldn't want a lefty that rakes against righties as opposed to a right-hander who sucks. Good point. I think that he's referring to the fact that righties are more likely to rake against lefties. So I don't think that's like excluding Bellinger. I just think he wants the team to have a little more power against pop against lefties. Seriously looking into Keller from the Cubs. What I heard, yeah, Brad Keller's good, and I hope that we sign him and not the Blue Jays, but they're going to be involved in the reliever market. They did not rank 20th, 29th, out of 30th in catcher war. Did they? I think maybe on Baseball Reference, but Baseball Reference, no. Not good. Not a good site for catching war. Why do you think the Yankees will trade? Who do you think the Yankees will trade to acquire Joe Ryan? If they were to acquire Ryan, I imagine it's a young starting pitcher like a Will Warren. And if they want outfield help, one of Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. And although I don't think the Twins trade Joe Ryan. Sign Tucker and Cody, trade Volpe and get a shortstop. Who's the shortstop is kind of the question I keep asking. But I would love the first part of this. Why would the Dodgers give up a haul for Scooble when they can just pay him a year and a half to get what if they want him and give up nothing? Because you can win a World Series with him now is another thing too. Even Swanson's better than Volpe. Well, Swanson's a good shortstop. If we had Dansby Swanson, we'd be a better baseball team. We'd be a pretty freaking good team. What do you think about Dominguez, Warren, and a prospect for Alcantara? Only with Belly signing, though. I don't know how I'd feel about it. I think he's good. So there's that. I think he's good. Yeah. Yeah, that I'd be cool with this. I'd be cool with this. I think Horner can play shortstop. I think he's a good one. Cash talking about Verpe's return like it's a return of the Mac. I think they like the defense. They like the defense. Maybe, right? Maybe, right? Maybe. Can't say I can't deny that it would happen. Makes sense. No chance they'd see Seager as a salary dump. No, they wouldn't trade him as a salary dump. That's what Jeff Passan reported. Yankees aren't going to do nothing. I'm over it. I think they're going to do something. I don't know if you're saying that or not. Drew, I think he does. That's a fair point in regards to the Bellinger thing. Bro, what do you even mean, even Swanson? Swanson's way better, not even the same sentence. And Swanson's good. Like, Swanson's a good player. Yankees should trade for Nico to play shortstop, then re-sign after. We talked about this. Pirates will trade Skeens next offseason to avoid arbitration money. It'll be the craziest trade of all time, and I hope it's to the Yankees if we get him, if he's traded. I would love to see Marte in the Yankees. His hitting is similar to Robinson Cano. He'd be great, but I don't think the Yankees are going to trade the whole for him. Should Cashman be fired? I think after all the years being GM, he's too comfortable and has no motivation. I wouldn't say the last part. I don't think he has to be fired. Is it a hot take to say the Yankees would benefit from the salary cap at this point? Well, yeah, if they're not going to spend at the Dodgers and Mets rate, then yes, right? Like if the cap is higher than where they're willing to spend, I guess the answer is yes. But I don't know. I would prefer a salary floor. I don't think he's a serious hole. He's got a higher OPS than the average catcher this past year. I wouldn't want them to leave necessarily, but I would prefer Tucker over Bellinger. No, they're going to do something. Fairbanks has a cold weather health issue. Is that true? Yes, but it was reported that that's not that big of a deal, actually. I don't want Giolito. He doesn't miss bats. Yeah, good point. All available good hitters have good splits. Tucker, Belly, Marte. Yeah, they all hit lefties well. Lombard should be traded now. I don't know if they should be. Fairbanks is on my never sign list because he has a nerve issue that affects him in the cold. But again, I think it was talked about by Lance Brzdowski. That's actually kind of overreported. Cabby's batting 250. You're good to keep him at shortstop. Yeah, if he hits 250 and the on base and the walk rates and the slug are similar to last year, he's probably a league average hitter. At that point, that'd be fun, right? At that point, that'd be fun, right? That'd be fun. Get Bichette and Garcia for left field and trade Wells or Alvarez. Which Alvarez? And I'm not trading Adolis Garcia for signing Adolis Garcia to play left field. DeMartian is a joke. No, I don't think he's a joke. I just think he's a player you can upgrade from. What do you give up for Peralta plus McGill? Says Steve-O. I trade Warren and like Hess is a top 5 prospect in the organization and Lewis is top 10. That's my deal. Yeah. You think if the trade Jazz because they're going to go after Marte? No. I'll got to promise Tucker a penthouse in the Rockefeller if he comes to us. Sure. Why are the Yankees so big in Volpe defense? Because he had a bad defensive year this year, and errors aren't a good way to judge it, but he had a bad defensive year this year. Other 2 years, he was a really good defender, but you shouldn't judge it on defense anyways. On errors anyways. You judge it on defensive runs saved, and that's above average. Would love to sign Bregman and make McMahon a util infielder. Kind of an expensive util infielder. A pitcher facing a lineup with different handedness would work more than facing a lot of lefties, even if those lefties have reverse splits. That might be a fair point. It does suck how all Jason is now is a trade piece because he was supposed to be a superstar. Lots of time left in his career, but it'll be hard for him to get the at-bats he needs here. Yeah, it's a shame. It really is, man. I think Cabby's better than his Rays days, but he's too valuable as a UTL. Stick him at one spot. That's a good point. He's really good as a versatile piece. I think that's not actually true. Ellie De La Cruz led the league in errors by shortstop this season. Volpe was like second in the errors. They both made the playoffs. I don't think Cruz is like a terrible defensive shortstop. I think he's just a little bit wonky. We need Hal's dad to come back from the dead man. Okay. Does Jazz, Warren, and Ben Hess as well for Spencer Jones not do it for Cattell? If it is, then that's an overpay. If not, then who else would you need to include him? They would have to trade more. It seems the way that's going, they'll have to trade more. If no cap is implemented, Hal needs to sell the team. All right. Dodgers signing Diaz after Scott disaster. Yankees think Bellinger's superstar and is good enough to complete the starting 9. I'd prefer if it was Tucker. I agree. Wish we were the Dodgers. Yeah, we'll sign both Bellinger and Tucker. Judge will play as long as he can in 2026. At some point, I don't know if he's going to need TJ personally, but, we'll see. Let's keep it rolling. LB is weak in shortstop, specifically offensively. Yeah. I don't like Cashman, but I wouldn't fire him. Fair. I would trade Warren, Cunningham, and Dominguez for Ryan. I would too. Cashman said we have a good lineup now. This guy's delusional. Projection systems think they do. That's not just him. If the Yankees don't make good moves, it's going to be a long season. Jays, Red Sox, and Orioles are getting better. I agree. Of course, going to say the lineup is good. What else do you want him to say? Fair point. I'm not sure how much I want Bellinger. Too much inconsistency. I don't trust the metrics. Also, fair point. I would usually extend this, by the way, by an extra 30 with the likes, but I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, and I kind of want to catch up on some sleep because I kind of burned myself out during the winter meetings. So I am going to end in the next 10 minutes. I apologize to everybody because I should be at my A game, but I am not at my A game right now. I am way sicker than I thought it was going to be during this week, and it kind of sucks. Speaking of Adolis, where do I see him signing? I'll say Angels. Dominguez feels like a Pirate to me. I agree. Me as a GM, Cashman, you're fired. Okay. Cashman's tired and stale. I don't think he's tired and stale. This could retire. I'd keep Jason and trade Spencer if it were up to me. Fair. I'm scared of one of Tucker or Bellinger to sign if they sign with us. I feel like whichever one doesn't sign first, their market price will skyrocket. Again, it depends on whether the market for Bellinger picks up more than it has right now, because it looks like it's just the Yankees when we get to that fifth year. Sorry. Wells for Francisco Alvarez? No. Neither side's doing that. It's not a guarantee Volpe will take off after the shoulder surgery. Good point. Wells, Volpe, McMahon again will be atrocious unless they're smart, make some changes there. I think they should platoon. I like O'Neal Cruz a lot. I'm Dominican, but of all Dominican players, nobody talks about him in DR. It's criminal. He's so good. I would love him in the outfield over Bellinger. He doesn't hit lefties, which is a concern. He's a freak athlete. Tons of pop. Talk about this. 95% of teams can't spend like hedge funders can spend. Good point. Zach Neto, not happening. Cashman, you're fired. All right. Volpe should have more errors. Goldschmidt saved him by picking all those balls out of the dirt. Sure, but errors are, again, just not a great stat for defense. Over under 72 hours before we make the next move. I'll say over. We have a few utility guys left. Zalado Cabrera's on the roster. I don't think we need more. Yeah, but I'd prefer if that was Caballero's role. Nobody's ever told me I should use outs above average, has been able to tell me how OA is calculated. I can tell you how errors is calculated and tell you it's not a good stat. Does that work? I wouldn't mind Quan if we don't get Belly Tucker. Fair. I think Pivetta and Estrada are better than Peralta and McGill. Why do we keep suggesting the latter but not the former? Is Warren, Hill, Cunningham, and Dominguez work? Well, Pivetta is less of a lock to get traded, it seems. And I think the other thing in this is Peralta's more consistent than Pivetta. Pivetta had one great year, and it was with a very low home run to fly ball rate compared to his usual. So, yeah. But I'd like Pivetta Estrada depending on the price. I would not move McMahon to shortstop. Would you move McMahon to shortstop, Steinbo to play second base, move Jazz third base, and have Lombard take over shortstop as time goes? No. Would Suarez have been good on the Yankees, and did we want him? I personally didn't have a affinity for Suarez because he doesn't miss bats, but maybe the Yankees had an interest, but I didn't see any public reported interest. Pete Alonso got NYC mayor votes and no official offer from the Mets. That is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Cashman's just trying to win trades. He's not willing to make the blockbuster trade. He traded for Juan Soto. Okay. Volpe's a reaction player, all hustle, very little fundamentals. All right. Bichette goes opposite field like Jeter did. Yeah, I think I'd like him on a 4 or 5 year deal. If this is Cashman's last year, you have to blank check whoever Freeman's lieutenant is. That's the Dodgers GM. Sure, fair. Everyone wants to trade Dominguez, and that'll be a huge mistake. I disagree depending on what the situation is. You'll be an excellent player. Oh, you've earned Dominguez. I hope he is, and he does it for the Yankees. You think 3 days till we make a move? Probably. There's no absolute that Waldo comes back. Good point. You keep saying that errors are not a great defensive measure, but how many games did we lose this year because of Volpe errors? Let's do an experiment. I can't see if I can find this. Trying to find this. Can't seem to find it. Where is it? I'm trying to look for this drop fly ball. Okay. Let's just try and find a drop fly ball. God, I can't find it. I can't find it. I can't find it. Anywho, let me give an example. Actually, I might have a good example. I might have. I'm trying to find I'm trying to find a fly ball where the guy doesn't make contact with the ball. I can't find it. Can't find it. There we go. Okay, this is a good one. Let's look at this defensive play here. What do you guys think this should be called? This is a routine fly ball. This is a routine fly ball. What should this be called? Because this isn't an error. This is straight up a base hit. This is not an error. This is a base hit. This is a terrible defensive play. This is awful. This is embarrassingly bad. This is one of the most routine plays in baseball. This is not a good measure of not an error. Like this is this is a 2 out. Like this is 2 outs. Everyone's going. Runners score because of this. This is not this is not an error. This is not an error somehow. That means it's a bad stat. That's why it's a bad stat, because just because you don't touch the ball doesn't mean it's not an error. There are plays that should be made that you don't touch, and there are plays that shouldn't be made that you get to, and you pick it up, and then you fire the ball, and it's not on target, but you're trying to make this crazy play, and it gets away from the first baseman. That should not be considered the same. Like, that should not be charged as an error, and this not charged as an error. Let me give you guys another example of like guys who don't make, like, let's look here. Guys who don't make errors. Nick Castellanos had made 0 errors this year. Is Nick Castellanos a good defender? Is Juan Soto a good defender? Is Luis Ariz a good defender? Is Luis Ariz a better defender than Marcus Semien? Is Juan Soto a better defender than Marcus Semien? Is Teoscar Hernandez as good of a defender as Marcus Semien? Was Trent Grisham a better defender this year than Ceddanne Rafaela? Ceddanne Rafaela made 5 errors. Gleyber Torres made 5 errors. Are they the same kind of defender? Yeah, I should be way more focused on outs above average or defensive runs saved or fielding run value. Errors are a terrible, terrible, terrible stat for measuring defensive value. Francisco Lindor made more errors than Bo Bichette did this year at the same position. Let's look at the shortstop position, 2025. Most errors. Volpe had 19, had a lot of errors. A lot of errors. Dansby Swanson at 11. Like, Dansby Swanson's an elite defender. You mean to tell me Dansby Swanson is a bad defensive shortstop because he was top 10 in errors this year? No. No, it doesn't. It clearly doesn't, because Geraldo Perdomo is a really good defensive shortstop, and pretty good, actually, who's as bad as Volpe in terms of errors this year. This is shortstop error. These are shortstop errors. Shortstop errors. Do we, in our heart of hearts, believe that Geraldo Perdomo is a bad defensive shortstop? Do we think that Francisco Lindor is one of the 10 worst defensive shortstops in baseball? Do we think that Zach Neto is a better defender than Dansby Swanson? Really? 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 We don't have to look at qualified. Let's say non-qualified as well. Do we think do we think I mean, would you just rank the best defensive shortstop based on this? No, that's not fair. 500. Let's put 800 innings. Are we really going to say the best defensive shortstops in baseball were Mason Wynn, Corey Seager? Mason Wynn's really good. Corey Seager, Nick Allen's very good. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, right? Not very good here. Not a very good defensive shortstop here. Yes, this is kind of the point I'm making here. Volpe didn't have a good defensive season. Yeah, he did not have a good defensive season. Did not. Volpe made, but it wasn't because of the errors. It was because he made a lot of misplays. But like Volpe made 16 errors the year prior, 19 this year. Was he marginally worse defensively than he was the year prior? No, he was a lot worse. That's something that can't be captured by errors. So I do think errors is a little bit of I think errors is a misleading stat. I'm sorry, I just do. I think you can platoon at 2 positions. That's, so yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Anywho, I'm gonna start wrapping here. I'm kind of beat. I'm kind of beat. Like I gotta wrap. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll get back at it, and talk some ball. Have a video out for you guys. We'll have a full-length podcast, and I'm excited to get into that. We appreciate you guys tuning in here on Fireside Yankees. Like, subscribe, comment, turn on that notification bell. We'll have a live stream tomorrow at 7, most likely. Actually, no, tomorrow I won't be able to go live, but we'll have a we'll have a video out, a full-length podcast for you guys tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll go live like during the afternoon. We'll kind of go from there. But guys, see you guys next one. Let's go Yanks. Peace out, everybody.